Morning, everyone, and welcome to El Creek. My name is Sunil Badeo, Transport Innovation Manager for Coventry City Council. And unfortunately, the weather's not playing ball with us today, so we will try and get that demonstration rearranged. So this is the heads up. We will still try and do it by the end of this presentation, but if we are unable to do that, we have planned for the 11 o'clock slot. As soon as this finishes, we will do the demonstration, because I think understanding the capabilities as we go through the presentation, you'll see how beneficial it's going to be for the rest of us. So let's hope that the rain eases off a little bit in the next 20 minutes or so. But what I'll do is I'll run through our presentation just to give you an idea as to what and how drones are going to be beneficial to us to meet some of our green agendas. And the idea is, we've done a lot of projects where we've sort of linked in things, different projects, different scenarios, but we've never demonstrated like we are going to do today, where how we can be a drone-ready city. So part of the funding we've received from Regional Pioneer Fund is to create this document where it will show all other local authorities or all any interested parties how you can become a drone-ready city. Our interest in Coventry's always been a very innovative city. We've got a heritage of transport innovation, ranging from bicycles right up to autonomous vehicles, as well as drones. Our interest in drones started when we were involved in a project called Urban Airport. What you see on your screens is actually a demonstrator urban airport in the city centre, right next to the railway station, which is capable of actually taking drones to the size of passenger carrying drones. So it carries up to 4 passengers. And if you're interested in knowing a little bit more about that, if you type in Urban Airport Coventry, you'll get some images and things like that. But there's a lot more that we want to try and demonstrate today to see how we can link in where drones can be capable. So the autonomous vehicles have the capability of driving itself, but then the normal vehicles have got a system called eCall, which Andy will go into, and Darren will go into that to demonstrate how we can link in the drones and the capability of drones going further. Urban airport use cases benefit for the society. Why are we doing it? It increases safety and efficiency. The key targets, again, reducing CO2 emissions. That's the target we've all been set to. How can we do? How can we get to net zero? There's a decent way forward that we can do. Delivering social benefits, reducing ground transport congestions, reducing cost of logistic deliveries, creating new business and job opportunities. One of the things I was talking to Paula earlier is, how can we get the young generation interested in that? When you talk about roads or anything like that, or talk about city councils, their initial thought is, in transportation, it's roads and digging roads, filling potholes and things like that. This is a new game changer for the young generation to join in. Potential benefits. What you see on that slide, and the slides can be shared, and you're quite happy to come and talk to me later, but it ranges from digital twins, operational costs, monitoring flood defenses, bridge inspections. Coventry have now started using drones to do highways inspections, bridge inspections, traffic monitoring, things like that. So all of those links in quite nicely with how we can actually reduce. When you look at shutting a road down to do inspections, there you go. Now you don't have to. A drone will do that for you. If it needs further inspections, and one of my bridge inspectors was saying to me that what you need to do is start knocking on bridges to see what the defects are or things like that. But then at least it reduces that time that you have to sit up and do all that inspections. So Coventry is leading. It's one of the lead cities in actually delivering that. Aims and objectives of this project that we've been funded by the Pioneer Regional Fund, which is for the Drone Ready City. Midlands Aerospace Alliance are our partners to deliver that, and we are creating that document. There's a QR code on our stand, please come and see that. But we're also partnered with Skyfarer as our delivery team. So these are the aims and the objectives. How can we do that? The Drone Ready City, the Drone Ready City project, regulations, one of the biggest challenges, as I said right at the offset. We cannot fly in certain conditions because that's the regulations. Drones cannot operate if it's heavy rains, heavy winds, Things will change as things are developing, but what we need to do as cities is to be ready for that technology. How do we get that? So this document and the development of this document is understanding what we need to do today, and we can share that with you guys. Ultimate output. At the moment, you can only fly the drone as long as you can see it. That's current operations where you've got visual line of sight. When you've got visual line of sight, you can fly it. What we're doing is we're working with another project, Skyway project, in partnership with Altitude Angel. We're building the first super highways between Coventry and Reading. We've already tested one corridor between two hospitals, Coventry Warwick University Hospital, as well as Rugby Hospital. We've flown, and when you come to our stand, you will see the drone that's actually flown, carrying medical supplies, carrying organs, delivering, and we're moving into, in partnership with Skyfarer, moving into nuclear medicine. It has a different ball game, but building those super highways needs the infrastructure that needs to be put in. This is the infrastructure we're talking about, where you need to have cameras, monitors, and the network that goes with it for the drones to be monitored as they're flying, so you can start flying beyond visual line of sight. So the operator can actually turn around and view where the drones are going, put that collision avoidance structure in place, and that way it will allow us to do that. But again, what is it that we need? How do we get that? How does the city react to it? What we don't want to do is populate our cities with a load of infrastructure, which is then, we put infrastructure in for autonomous vehicles, we put infrastructure for drones, so what we're trying to do is to understand what it is that we require that will be used for multimodal. Future mobility hubs, what are they going to look like? Because that's the ultimate aim. What we want to do is we want to provide something which is green, something which is going to be sustainable and meet our green agendas. What you see on your left-hand side is a render of what we think a hub should look like, where you've got an autonomous bus, EV charge points, micromobility, delivery hubs. What's missing is what's on your right-hand side. What type of drone hub do we need? Do we need that big thing on the right-hand side, or can we modular it? And we are working with other partners where we're trying to look at how we can modularly build this into cities or into estates where we can start delivering. But the idea of today's demonstration is to see how we can actually do eCall. I'll hand it over to Andy, and he'll explain the eCall system.
Thanks, Sunil. How many of you know anything about eCall? Put your hand up. How many of you know that because I told you? Okay, thanks very much. Right. So what is eCall? If you have a car that's built since 2018, go and have a look by the mirror. There's a button that says SOS. If that airbag goes off, or you press that button, it connects you to BT 999, and they ask you if you need emergency assistance. There are about 250,000 eCalls every year in the UK alone, and they've been connected to UK emergency services. BT connect them to the police, the ambulance, fire service, and also the Coast Guard. 2.2 million new vehicles this year will have eCall on board. So if you haven't read the manual, it's on page 493 of your new car manual. We think there are about 10, 11 million vehicles already on the road network. If you get back in your car later on and you find that button, then I'll be pleased. About 1 in 6 of the calls that we receive are airbag activations. That's 40 a day in the UK. That's 40 vehicles. They ain't going to go anywhere. Can't put the airbag back in the steering wheel once it's fired. You need to be recovered. Many of those are people who've walked away unhurt, but the vehicle needs to be recovered. Some of them are seriously injured. What our business does, called Vsauce, is we take the packet of the data that comes with that airbag as the voice is made, and we process that data to work out on whose road network it is, what vehicle it is, etc., etc. And an automated vehicle acts that was passed just recently is a requirement for vehicles that are automated that have a collision to report this, so eCall will do this. So that's a vehicle at the end of my road that had slightly enthusiastic driving and left the road. The airbag went off and you could hear the eCall being automatically made. What we were going to simulate, and I guess the weather has put it off now, was Sunil's car having a collision with an automated vehicle, but we can show you some pictures of that. You might say, I don't have a red button. The reason for that is often it's under a guard. You need to pull the little thing down and then you'll find it. Please don't press it to see if it works, because you will be connected to the police and it's a waste of their time. So what's happening? What were we going to show? So this airbag was going to go off as Sunil's car lost control and went into the back of the AV. We can't fire off the airbag on Sunil's car for two reasons. One is because he wouldn't be able to drive it home, and secondly because it would ring up the West Midlands Police and they wouldn't be very happy with us. That would send a data packet. In fact, the autonomous vehicle and the Sunil's car would send a data packet to 999. We pick up that data. We verify that it's not a false alarm. We verify it's not from a car dealer, etc. And then the GPS location and the identity of that vehicle would be sent to various people. So Coventry City Centre's traffic control, HAS alert that Gareth will tell you about, but also to the drones. So the GPS location of this vehicle goes into the drone, and the drone then takes off and then flies a camera over the top of it. What we were going to show you, and we've got some videos of how it worked yesterday, because we did do a dry run, we did do a Blue Peter of one that works earlier. But the whole point is that all of this technology is here today. The linking of the data, the use of the data in drones, and the use of the data in HAS that Gareth will tell you. But there's organisational things like not being able to fly without line of sight. There's institutional barriers about using data for other things. But just imagine that we're showing what the tech can do. What's needed now is organisations' paperwork. And just if you wonder about what eCall actually can do, that's one of our favourite self-writing adverts. Somebody had a BMW, they didn't know they had eCall, and the next thing they knew, their son was in hospital because the car had rung up 999 and explained where it was. I'm going to stop talking about eCall. I can tell you a lot about it, and I'll hand you over to Gareth.
So Annie's done a great job already. So I'll go through what we do in a bit more detail. But for anyone in the room, if you do have Waze on your phone, I would recommend that you take your phone out now. So although that we can't do the live demo, I have put an example that is live on Waze now. So you'll see them on my phone then. I've just activated it through our back end for the demo purposes. But we have simulated that accident, which hasn't occurred, outside. So what do we do and why are we here? In terms of our core message and what we do, we are primarily a safety company, and our key feature of what we offer across the sector, whether it's blue lights, amber lights, or any hazards on the roadway, is supplying digital alerts directly to drivers. What essentially this means is, rather than someone driving down the road and making a decision once they can hear or see something on the roadways, they can get informed ahead of time. We sit in the center of all these various different sectors. We do not see the problem with safety or any form of development for innovation as necessarily a technology problem, more so a data problem. How is this data shared? How is this data linked to various different areas that you can see on the screen here? Perfect example being, how are the emergency services connecting to local authorities? How are they connecting to drivers? How are they connecting to autonomous vehicles? How are they connecting to infrastructure? Every country you go to has its own challenges. The UK has those challenges as well. And we essentially sit in the middle to try and disseminate this information and connect all the different areas that you can see on screen here. So for the purpose of the demonstration, as Andy mentioned, what this would provide is the information from Vestas into our cloud environment, and then this going directly into our digital alerts, one of which I mentioned would be on Waze. Where we sit in that partnership, we are the largest provider of digital alerts to Waze globally. So we have a very good relationship with them. We can essentially turn any blue light, amber light, or hazard into that's on the roadway into an alert message directly into Waze. I put it on my phone there. It was in Waze within about 5 seconds, but the average time can take up to about 30 seconds. I've got an example here. You'll see that's not in English. So actually we went over to Budapest. We put one of our devices in a fire truck, and again, it was live on Waze in about 15 seconds over in Hungary. The premise here is the alerts go into those the drivers, and we can do this both from a static alert but then also a moving alert. So if the emergency services are also responding to that incident, we can also get alerts to drivers on a moving capacity as well. We are also the largest provider of alerts into Apple Maps globally as well. Same principle there, not as many jazzy images or icons, but the important safety messages still go directly into Apple Maps as well. But one of the key things that we work with, who we work with, is actually the car manufacturers directly themselves. So we are a strategic partner of Stellantis. Over the United States, we are getting close to about 5.5 million vehicles that are enabled with digital alerting. We have other car manufacturers which we're soon to go live with. I can't mention who they are at the moment, but in terms of the excitement that we're bringing to this sector to really drive these safety initiatives is really important. So as I mentioned, if there was a situation here where we have a airbag deployment, that information could go to us. We can start to inform drivers that are heading towards that direction to keep both the drivers that are still moving safe, but also that person that has broken down or crashed safe as well. And then as the emergency service are responding as well, we can start to help from a safety and also an efficiency perspective there, informing drivers that there is an ambulance, police car, fire engine behind them or up ahead, so they also can get to that instance quicker and also add a further safety solution there. In terms of these messages, they can change and they can differ. So working directly with both blue lights, amber lights, but then also working with local authorities, road authorities, the data is essentially there, but how do we start to disseminate that? So working very closely with not only the blue and amber light services, but those local authorities, those traffic centres is vital for us, so we can get that information and share that out. One of the slides that I just did pop in as well. So we know that we've got the autonomous shuttle out there. So one of the areas that we're also working with is how we actually connecting from a safety perspective to autonomous vehicles. How are those blue light services connected to autonomous vehicles? My guess is probably they won't be. So how, when we've got vehicles which are anywhere, average age of the vehicle in the UK is 7 years old, we've got semi-autonomous and completely autonomous shuttles on the road, how are we communicating and effectively driving safety on the roadway across all those different areas and also driving efficiency. And from that, I'll pass back over to Kit.
As I say, at this point, we were looking at showing you the live demonstrations.
So we have a cunning plan, which is they are actually streaming from the drones. So we'll show you what the drones look like. If the gentleman in charge of the drones could lift them up. So let's try and find you the... Right, there you go. So imagine that they're zooming around going... and sending live pictures back here, but to Coventry City Council, to the police. Could be onto a phone to an emergency responder en route.
And that's, if those, it's quite close, but that's a live image from our control room. So this is actually streamed onto our control room. So the idea was you would be able to see that demonstration, but this can be multi-streamed. So it can go to the police, it can go to whichever agency signed up to show that demonstration. So I'm not sure whether you can see that it's too close, but it's demonstrated there. But this is at our control room in the city of Coventry.
And I've just turned on the object detection, which would identify hopefully us two as human beings, but probably hasn't seen us before. So you get the idea. What we would have done is the two vehicles over there. Oh, there we go. Thank you. The two vehicles over there would have collided. We would have pretended the airbag had gone off. We'd have counted down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then the drones would have taken off and taken pictures automatically because they knew where the vehicles were from GPS. We can't do that because of the rain. We'll try and do it later on if it stops raining.
Well, the scheduled plan at the moment is we'll do it at 11 o'clock because someone's already booked the space from 10:30 till 11 o'clock. So after they go, we will do that. These are some of the images from yesterday.
Okay, so those of you who used to watch Blue Peter, here's one we prepared earlier. So Sunil's car sadly had a collision and its airbag went off. Obviously, it's not a real airbag, it's a Sainsbury's bin liner, but it was good enough that somebody came up to Sunil and said, have you crashed your car? So it did work. I have a side career in special effects in movies, if anyone wants it. So we tried it yesterday in the sunshine. Of course, it worked perfectly. So those are the two drones. The bottom picture is Sunil's car on a wide shot, and the top picture is the kind of main drone. and then zooming in, and therefore that picture is from a drone. You can see that there is nobody in the car, although the airbags have gone up, the occupant has got out. That means, from the point of view of an emergency services response, you don't send fire, ambulance and everything. You find the driver with the drone, and you find it. And then what happened then was it all fed through automatically into HAS alert, and on Avenue M, which is here, 225 feet away, we flew one of the drones to pretend to be a fire appliance, and it came and found it. So it all worked wonderfully yesterday, except for the rain.
And like I said, hopefully you guys can still stay around to try and actually see the live demonstration. The idea is what we're trying to do here is various projects Coventry are working on. We're trying to bring them all together. So we're also working on the autonomous vehicle. What you see out there, the Omeo vehicle, we're part of that project. So somewhere on the line, what we don't want to do anymore is do all this R&D and not get business as usual. So the idea is we want to share our experiences, our knowledge, but make this as business as usual. One of the key things which we wanted to also demonstrate here, and I always put this slide in because it showcases what you as an authority or everyone else who's thinking of deploying drones in their city, what they need to be careful of. This was the first ever flight we took off outside the Transport Museum in London, because we had during the City of Culture, we wanted to showcase the things that we were working on. So we took the drone out, and this was a Skyfarer's first drone. We took it up and we thought, okay, that's wonderful, working fine in the city. All of a sudden we start seeing a few seagulls flying around. I'm thinking, man, that's okay, it's fine. And we flew it for a little bit longer. And the guy said, look, so it's a bit risky now, shall we bring it down? I says, well, bring it down, but can we just go and see what the roof's like, roof inspections? We don't need to have a cherry picker or something there. So we sort of brought it halfway down, and then we took it up again. And as you'll see as this clip goes on, and I think it's one of those live demonstrations you can not miss. As soon as it took off and it went over somewhere near the roof, look at the number of seagulls that have started to showcase. They were literally attacking the drone because they thought it was a predator. So when we start looking at these new technologies coming into our cities, we need to be very, very mindful of what we're doing, how we're doing it, how we're deploying it. And for us, what we're saying is, look, we've got some experience, not all, but we've partnered with some serious partners to try and have that collaborative approach, because we can't be experts in all, but as a city we can provide the testing beds, and that's what we're good at. So part of what we're doing now is working, we've done the live stream, there was the drone ready cities. So if you download this QR code, it will actually give you the documentations and the legalities and the framework of what we need to work with. So we're working with the regulatory partners now to try and literally iron out some of these issues that we wanted to do. But I'm also mindful that we've got a stand in there which has got drones on the showcase. So please come and talk to us. Please download that. But don't forget to come and see us at 11 o'clock if the weather improves. But I'd open it up to questions if there are any. I think
Gareth's got his car just there.
Oh yes, and the safety cloud there, if you want to see what the in-vehicle signage, because that's part of something that we've done, in-vehicle signage, it will show you what the in-vehicle sign is. So when you've got these things happening, it will give you that. And I think we're working on where we can show GLOSA, which is green light optimization, so it interacts with traffic lights and things like that. So that development, we've been involved in it, we're now bringing it to life. Brilliant. Any questions? Oh, brilliant. It looks as though we've done well.
How much does the change in government potentially tomorrow going to affect legislation? Is it a bit of an unknown?
It is a bit of an unknown, but I've got my director and my the DLO, head of DLO. I don't think it will make that much of a difference. In fact, I think they will invest a little bit more. I'm sure I'm right in thinking that way, Colin. I think there will be investment because at the moment, we at one time, probably 6-7 years ago, we were the lead in technology, and we've fallen back. So I think the government will want to carry on the investment they've done, and we should be able to get a lot more funding to try and develop some of this technology, because it's not going to go away. It's there. Other cities, other countries are really expediting that. We need to catch up. Yes.
I think you said before, when if you see an accident and you see that there's nobody in the vehicle, that you can hold back on the emergency services. What if the person has stumbled clear of the vehicle with a head injury?
You'll have to shout out because sorry.
You say that you hold back on the emergency services if you see the vehicle's clear.
Yeah.
What if the person stumbles clear of the vehicle with a head injury?
Can I answer that one?
Of course.
So equal is both voice and data.
Yeah.
We don't touch the voice. So if the voice callers come into the car and nobody answers, there's a whole protocol that emergency services follow for called silent calls for people who can't answer, people who are deaf, people who are can't speak, people who are too shocked to even move. What we do is we take the data and we combine that. So if you've had a call and there's a silent alert, then the picture that shows that there's somebody still in the vehicle or whatever will add to that. We're no way ever touching the fact that it's a voice system primarily. We're just adding to it. So no decisions are made primarily based on the data. We're only adding on to decisions that have been made. But equally, what we are doing is making it much faster because the speed of data, where are you, what's your car, how many people are on board, we know all that from the data, so we can speed up the voice response. So we're not getting in the way of the emergency services.
And when West Midlands Police have got a drone team of their own, they can discharge a drone which has got thermal imaging. So if there is someone who's gone off, that thermal imaging will pick up. But the idea is the triage service that the drone can do, it actually helps us to try and deliver rather than sending all the services out and then everyone returning. This way, it might be just the highways agency who needs to go and address the incident and close the road off for a time being, and that'd be the end of it. But how we move forward with that, it's like Andy said, not everyone knows that there's an equal button in their cars. You know, it's bringing things like these, demonstrations like these, is to bring that to the forefront for people to start using it. But there was I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
You had a question?
So no, can I just add one
Sorry.
thing? But the equal data is the last three positions of the vehicle. So if it's gone over the central reserve and ended up in that side of the road when it's on that side of the road, then the highway authority knows it's got central reserve to repair.
Yeah.
If it's gone into a field down there, then the recovery truck needs to know it's probably going to have to go in from the all-purpose network and not the motorway network and all that kind of stuff. That's the sort of thing we're adding over and above the emergency response.
Perfect. Sorry.
No, it's okay. So we've got a council, Coventry, who've obviously got someone who's very dedicated and enthusiastic about this, okay? So that might rule out a few other councils. You've got a startup who's connected with you, fortunately. You've got a Reece Jeffreys Road Fund banner there that suggests that there's been at least one grant in the mix. What are those magic ingredients that you've got in place to achieve this? And what's the other magic ingredient that you need to really get motoring or flying or whatever it is, droning?
Or both. One of them is sitting in front of me. We need my director. The biggest challenges we've faced to try and address the question you're asking is the political buy-in. And if we've got our politicians on board who understand what we're developing and if it fits within their agenda as well. And what we do is we're very calculated in what we try and engage with. So, you know, there's loads of funding out there, but we're very selective in what we want to do. If it meets our roadmap, then we will bid for that and it will deliver it. Getting that message over to our politicians and my directors and the senior leadership team is the challenge. That's how we get into the bidding for it. But also engaging with university partners. That's another key thing for us. We've got 2 universities in Coventry. Coventry's always been at the forefront of innovation, you know, ranging from the bicycles right down to, you know, everything that goes in. Motor industry has been very, very active. So what we want to do is we want to try and create jobs in Coventry. We want to try and sustain that. And we also want to make sure that we meet our green agendas. How do we do that? So the sustainable program, the project that we have, is also something that we're looking for. But it cannot be achieved in silo. We need partners like Skyfair is a spin-off from Coventry University. It's a small startup. But the work we're doing with them is absolutely brilliant because it is helping our highways department to try and literally save in the times of where funding is very difficult, money is very tight. how can we save but deliver a better service? That's what we're doing.
Can I just thank you? Is this one on? Can I just thank, crikey, thank you for the mention of East Joffrey's Road Fund. That was the other hat I wear as a trustee of it. It didn't actually get any funding for this project, but we do have funding available for people who want to train in other things than their day jobs. The leaflets are on the table. We've got quite a pot of funding available, so please do apply. The final thing to answer your question is, we seem to be very fixed with the idea that autonomous vehicles will solve all the problems for us straight away. As Gareth said, the average age of the vehicle in the UK is nearly 10 years, actually, if you include every vehicle. Let's sort out today's problems using connected vehicles and then also get autonomous ones. It's not connected and autonomous vehicles, it's connected and autonomous vehicles.
And that public perception of how we get everyone on board, you know, when we're talking about autonomous vehicles, we've believed that when you see something, you believe in it, and that's what we're intending to do. We are showcasing what's the art of the capabilities and the art of what is achievable. That's what we want to do. So part of this collaboration with the West Midlands Police, who are an absolute brilliant partner, they've got their own drone team, but what we're saying is, look, we want to collaborate. How can we work together to try and deliver something that's going to be sustainable?
Can I just touch on that with the collaboration? That's exactly it. Is we don't like just talking about what we've done in the States. You know, we're very much in Europe now and in several countries, but one of the big aspects of how we've been so successful and working with multiple OEMs in the States is exactly that, is through collaboration. You know, we are not the people that are building the smart infrastructure. We don't build the variable message signs. We don't build the smart traffic lights. We are just that connective block. There's data everywhere that can be used to help from a safety perspective on the roadways, for, again, through efficiency or literally life-saving, you know, events and situations. So it's that collaboration and that willingness to say, do you know what, if we can connect all of those emergency service vehicles, how do we then connect them to the traffic lights? If we can connect those to the emergency shuttles, how can everything else be connected? And that openness to say, okay, let's give it a go. Let's test that efficiency. Let's test the operations once it's done, not necessarily just sitting there and waiting for someone else to do it, which I think is definitely a habit in the UK. Well, I'm going to do it when someone else does it, and then, you know, typically it's too late. So it's that adoption, but through collaboration.
Perfect. Paula?
And then just finally, quickly, just because I can, talk about that this all also connects in with the work with the Transport Technology Forum. Andy leads a brilliant connected vehicle working group, and these are all the sorts of things. The eCall project is part of some research that's also part of TTF. So it's definitely worth taking a look at the TTF side of things, because for me, highways maintenance and the connectivity, and as Andy said, connected ... and autonomous vehicles, both the worlds are becoming much, much more interconnected. Excuse the pun.
I think the next demo's on. We've overrun a bit. Sorry about that.
Well,
Cheers.
yeah, if you can, and if the weather improves, please join us at 11 o'clock outside. We'll find out. Thank you.